Shane, thank you so much for being here. After I read your book, I thought, now, I can't wait till he gets here so I can ask him specific questions about the chapters I was most interested in. You used to work with drug companies. You're a chemist, and you sort of got disillusioned by what they were pushing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I love medicine. I always have. I think it's been a huge benefit to humanity, but in the form of emergency medicine. And as a medicinal chemist working for a major pharmaceutical company, I learned that they were starting to push drugs as vitamins. They were moving away from emergency medicine, and to increase their market share, they were trying to convert healthy people into patients and sell drugs as vitamins. In other words, to push them for daily use. And that's when I began.
Sort of help build their pocketbook, in other words.
Exactly. That's when I got disillusioned, and I decided to become a consumer advocate.
Well, you talk about in emergency situations, but are doctors well versed on supplements and what they can provide, or do they get any training along this line?
Unfortunately, physicians don't get any training in herbal medicine. Most of that training goes to chemists, because chemists use Mother Nature as the guide to drug design. They try to copycat Mother Nature, but physicians aren't privy to any of that information.
One of the things I guess either we suffer from, each of us, or we have someone in our family, is diabetes, obesity. That seems to be becoming more prevalent. But there are certain supplements that you say that should we wait until we're diagnosed, or is it something that you take as a preventative?
Start now.
Okay.
You have to start now. Unfortunately, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, 1 in 3 children born in the year 2000 are going to suffer from type 2 diabetes. It's a huge epidemic, and it's terribly sad because, unfortunately, children are following the footsteps of their parents, unknowingly putting themselves at risk for diabetes.
Is it because of the sugar in our diets? Is that
it's
primarily the
primarily
reason?
Sugar, but also the artificial flavors, the preservatives in food, and, of course, toxic water. A lot of people are getting water that's been adulterated with certain things that mimic estrogen, which help increase your risk of diabetes. So I think it's a handful of different things.
Gosh, and water we think is perfect for us, the perfect food.
Yeah, we drink water to be healthy. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. So there's a huge amount of factors involved with diabetes, and it needs to be controlled, and people need to get aggressive about it. Unfortunately, there's not a single prescription drug that's going to curtail the diabetes threat. Not a single one.
Not a single one. Well, the interesting thing about your book that I found was I first started out, I read the introduction, and then I just picked the chapters that related to either myself or to people in my family. And so, but then I went back and I thoroughly read all of it.
Did
because
it put
I just
you to sleep, the reading?
No, actually I highlighted and underlined everything in it. But I was interested in this because you talk about the importance of cinnamon. Now, I cook, and I love the smell of cinnamon, and I love to use it in cooking, but what qualities or characteristics does cinnamon have that help us with diabetes and obesity?
It sounds ridiculously simple that cinnamon can help curb the current epidemic of type 2 diabetes. But the drug industry has been studying cinnamon for about 25 years in order to try to replicate it with a prescription drug. And it works simply by helping your muscle cells vacuum up blood sugar to lower your blood sugar, keep it in normal, which is 85 to 95. And by doing that, we set off a chemical reaction in the body that lowers insulin, which is a fat-storing hormone. The less insulin you have, the more comfortable you're going to be in your bathing suit. And that's exactly what cinnamon does for you over time. You can use it for prevention, and you can also use it if you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And when you buy cinnamon, you're only going to spend about $5 to $7 a month. It's amazing.
But then your book, the premise of it is that take these supplements 30 days, but they don't really cure anything in 30 days. We're trying to prevent further problems.
Yeah, I want to give people, if you're taking a medication for type 2 diabetes and you got off of it and you gave cinnamon 30 days, you would see positive results with your blood sugar, but you'd also feel better. So I tell people just to try it, give it 30 days, use it as a first line of defense, and if you don't feel better, then you can go back to your old model, which is prescription drugs.
Okay. They're much higher. What about sugar? We talked about that, and that's really hard for me to give up. I think I'm doing well because I drink diet sodas, but then those have other types of sugar substitutes, don't
Substitutes, which are made in the lab. Artificial flavors are essentially drugs disguised as sweeteners, and they come with side effects. So I advocate the use of something known as stevia in place of sugar. Today, most people are consuming, the average person, unfortunately, is consuming 150 pounds of sugar per year. Our healthier ancestors were consuming 10.
Really?
Yeah, so you got to minimize sugar intake, but at the same time, I still want people to get their sweet fix. And in order to do that, they can take stevia, but unfortunately, most stevia products taste like black licorice. They're very bitter. They don't taste good.
I've seen it on the market, in the supermarket, but I just assumed it was all the same.
Yeah, and people do think it's all the same, and that's exactly the point, is that not all stevia products are created equal.
Nor all of the supplements.
I suspect this one is the best, and I want you to try it really quick.
This is
and it tastes just like sugar. I'm willing to bet on it, and since you already admitted to loving sugar, we'll see if you like this.
Anything sweet, I like it. Kind of crunchy.
Is it bitter?
No, not bitter. It tastes like, or it feels like raw sugar.
Wow, that's great.
That's what it feels like.
Excellent.
You know, crunchy. And
so you can replace
so is raw sugar not even as good for us as
raw
they claim?
sugar is not as good for you because it raises blood glucose, and the body needs to get rid of the glucose. So it releases that fat-storing hormone, insulin. It jumps up, and our metabolism gets stifled as a result. Whereas when you take this, it still tastes good, right? Unless you're fibbing for the show.
No, tasted pretty good to me.
And you can take that without raising blood sugar or blood glucose, and you're not going to get a release of insulin.
Well, I know in some prescriptions and medications I've taken, it says on there, do not stop. I mean, if you're going to get off of it, you get off of it gradually. What about things like sugar? If those of us who are sugar addicts, can you hurt yourself?
No, but you can become really grumpy, and you might hurt somebody else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. I can agree.
So wean yourself off of it. On my website, I have a death by sugar calculator, and you can put in your daily use of sugar, and it'll tell you what your annual use is and how you can slowly wean yourself off of it.
Well, in the book, you talk about a healthy dessert pack. What do you mean by that?
Well, you can still get your dessert, and there's a company online called Wellness Bakeries. And you can make some fantastic brownies or chocolate cake that's made with similar things like this, like alternative sweeteners that won't accidentally kill you, like the ones on the grocery store shelves.
Okay.
So you can still get your sweet fix with this cake, Wellness Bakeries. And there's a lot of other companies out there that are shifting from using sugar to using naturally occurring stevia or erythritol, things of that nature.
So we do need to start reading those labels more carefully.
Definitely.
Because, like you say, they're not all created equal. And one other tip that I really liked, because I don't like to drink water, I just make myself drink it. But if we add lemon juice to it, that sort of quenches your thirst and also keeps you from wanting to eat something.
Lemon juice is phenomenal at curbing appetite. I'm not a big fan of snacking. So when you get hungry, go with lemon juice in water, help curb the appetite a little, and wait for your mealtime rather than snack.
Well, at least that's easier to do. Well, really, the book was very interesting. All the chapters will pertain to someone. And I like prevention. I don't like to take care of things after I have it. So I think anything we can do to prevent illnesses or problems with our body are what's important.
Excellent. I'm glad you liked the book. I think too many health books out there make for great sleep medication. It puts you out. So I wrote the book to be fun, entertaining, but also
and it's funny in
valuable.
places, too. Well, I appreciate you being here, Shane. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.